Hey kids, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about, this show. Turns out we've been doing this show for a while now, over 2 years. And I have a few followers, and I thank you, and I pray for you every day. Here's the catch. I could have had a lot more followers, but what we've chosen to do with this channel is to be a resource and a place to come and stay away from the negativity. Well, unfortunately, the negativity has finally come to roost in all of our social networks. We are seeing this war in Russia start to bubble over, and we're trying to parent our kids through this. We're seeing things happen within our economy, with inflation, with oil, all that stuff, and yet people are still gaslighting and saying it's because of this and because of that. Well, here we go, guys. Today I'm going to talk to you about this YouTube channel called Blessed Fatherhood. A long time ago, it was called the Third String Pundit, and then it became the Williamfontanez Jr. show, and then it became Blessed Fatherhood. That is the evolution of this show. I started off wanting to talk about politics. When I was in the military, I had a special type of training, and my training was working with the media, giving them information, making sure the media gives the information out to the public. Basically, what they're doing to us now. And for the last 2 years, I have tried my best to let you guys know that things are coming around the bend. Well, here they are. They're coming around the bend, and we need to respond to that. And as a parent, it's very hard to make those decisions. Do I spend this money on this? Do I pay this bill? Do I spend more money on food? So there you go. What do we do now that war has started, and we are being sucked into it? Regardless of what you think, if money is around and to be made, we are sucked into it. So, regardless of your politics, this is probably the most important video you'll ever see from me. And this is it. It doesn't matter who the president is. Right now, currently, on this day in 2022, it is President Joe Biden. The reason I say it doesn't matter who the president is because they don't really control things other than perception. Perception is something that has been turned into a different word, the word truth. And perception and truth should never be the same. I was in a group the other day, and I was talking, and someone said, well, that's your reality, and this is my reality. And I said, no, wait, there is a reality, though. Because we talk about the 6 or the 9, the object drawn in the sand. One person sees the 6, the other person sees the 9. I've talked about this before. You guys have seen that image. So the picture looks like a 6 or a 9, depending on which way you're looking at it. And people say, this is my truth. It's a 6. This is my truth. And the other person says, no, this is my truth. This is my truth. It's a 9. And they'll argue back and forth. The reality is they both have a different perception. Okay? Perception. It is not fact that it is a 6. It is not fact that it is a 9, but one of them is true. And which one is it? Well, we find out who drew the object on the ground. And it turns out it was just some guy with a stick. It was just zigzagging in the ground. He didn't mean for it to be a 6 or a 9. He was trying to draw a fish, and he just forgot how to do it. That was a joke. The point is, we think that the information that's put before us is all of it, and it's not. It's just the information you're being allowed to see. When I was in the military, one of here's a story. Nothing that I know of in the military or know about, my classification, all my secret clearances, all that, it's gone. Don't worry about it. Nothing I know is not public record. So, this is the kind of stuff that your government does to you on a large scale. Here's a small scale example. I got to be in the room with all the commanders and stuff. I was a little enlisted guy. No big deal. But I lived with the enlisted. I ate with the enlisted. I was treated like an officer most of the time. But I was enlisted. So, I heard everything that went on. For example, We're going to have a piss test tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, a piss test means they're checking for drugs, mostly marijuana. And then we're going to have one on Tuesday. And then we're going to have another one on Wednesday. And then we're going to have one on Thursday and Friday. And we're not going to tell anybody. So everybody had a surprise piss test. UA, it's the nice term. And a lot of people tested positive for marijuana. Well, it was only released that the test was going to be on Monday because the rest of it was classified in our unit. So the next day, we ran a battalion-wide urinalysis and more soldiers were tested positive because they figured, hey, I got the test. I'm going to go smoke some dope. I'm good for another month or two. And then that's what those soldiers thought. And each day, more and more and more of the soldiers got tested positive for these substances. And 3 tests, and like 25% of the unit. And I'm making that number up, but it was a lot of people. And then the commander says the next day, or the next week at the staff meeting, he looks at all the company commanders and he goes, are you guys having trouble filling your special duty rosters now? And they said, no, sir. Great, carry on. So what I'm trying to say is we basically manipulated soldiers to get into trouble by giving them this test and realizing that they were, they never do this, they never do this, they never do this. And the commander's whole point was, I need as many people to cut grass and clean windows and do all that stuff that I can. And we can't ask the soldiers that are being good not to do that. So let's make sure that some people are going to be forced onto, and I'm not condoning this. I didn't smoke dope when I was in the military. And you guys know I am an advocate of cannabis now as opposed to the opiates and benzos and all that stuff. So why am I talking about this urinalysis in the military? Well, it just goes up. And our government will kind of put things out there for you to understand or believe as truth. And then they kind of pull it out from underneath you. So if you start to analyze what's happening, you'll see that this all is predictable. And I'm going to do it like this. 2 years ago, I was making videos on the economy and oil and all that stuff and saying, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. And sure enough, we get there and all of it's basically come true. All of my stories on COVID, true. All of those things that were last year, as I was trying to report on it, I was getting censored and all that stuff. True. And now I can't get the news. I cannot access it the way I used to, which means censorship is it's in full effect. Propaganda, full effect. And I know this because when I was in the military, that's what we did. We had to recognize and distribute propaganda. So here we are. We are in a world where we do have the freedom to say whatever we want. I can say anything I want. The problem is I want to tell you about things, but I can't tell you about things because I can't access information to verify it. And unfortunately, the very sources that we know have been lying to us are in charge of the information. So now, after the last 2 years of the manipulation, the manipulation and all that stuff, we are supposed to believe that they have our best interest at heart. We need to step back and say, when in doubt, pull out. That's what you do in cryptocurrency, right? And we need to step back and say, what's going on? Why is everyone so anti-Russia all of a sudden? Is it because of the dossier? Is it because of what Putin is doing? What is it? Well, we don't know. What we do know is I have an uncle that was supposed to be working on the Keystone Pipeline. And Biden's executive order nixed his job. We are not energy independent anymore. I know that we are still getting oil from Russia and paying them, which means our government is actually putting money into the war effort while we're sending weapons and stuff to Ukraine. I know the cryptocurrency is doing all kinds of weird stuff. Visa and MasterCard are having issues with mirrors, and we are looking at two global currencies. And this has never happened before. And it scares me because I can't give you the information I want to give you. I want to be able to say, hey, make a good, here's a good choice. Here's something to invest in. Here's something to do. But what can I tell you? We are in uncharted waters. But we can go back and see how the people have manipulated us in the past and try to avoid it. Firstly, watch where you're consuming your media, because if you're just consuming it from one side, all you're going to hear is one thing, and it's so ugly on both sides. It's really hard to find media that is going to just give you the news. When I was in elementary school and high school, junior high, high school, one of the things they talked about journalism was fact check, fact check, fact check. You got to make sure this is right. You got to cite your sources. This is information. Don't be biased. Give the news. Well, it's gotten to the point where everything is biased. You watch Fox News, it's biased towards the right. You watch MSNBC, it's biased towards the left. You watch me, I'm biased towards libertarianism, but I'm not a libertarian. I don't know. I am biased towards seeking the truth. And one of the ways I do that is by basically believing that everything is true and then start to try to dispute it. Try to say, well, that's true. I believe it to be true. Let's try to prove that it's false, because it's really hard to prove a negative. So if it's false, you can prove that it's false pretty fast. So I approach everything like that. And about a year ago, I said gas prices are going to go way up. About 3 months ago, I said, get ready. And I've been right all along. So if you watch my videos I'll try to come up with a playlist, but there's so many videos that I've made, some of them that have gotten deleted, some of them that are still there, but so many that have talked about this very moment. So what do we do in this moment with our children? In this moment where we're about to see prices skyrocket. We're about to see gas prices go up even higher. It was $4 a gallon this morning, and it was $3 a gallon yesterday. And that was with him opening the strategic reserve, which means it's going to go up again. He slowed down the spike. It's going to go to $5. And by the time you watch this video, it's probably going to be at $5, national average. Oh my goodness. So what do you do with your money when oil is going up, inflation's going to start hitting, so your money is going to start being worth less? Do you invest in cryptocurrency? Well, you can't really do that because it still trades in a dollar. I mean, you can have some, but that's crashing right now because they're blocking things because of the war. So if you're really wealthy, you can have your money parked in cryptocurrency. I mean, you can have a little bit here and there, but it's so volatile right now. I wouldn't even say invest. I mean, I do, but I wouldn't advise it because it's just going to go up and down. So what do you invest in? Commodities? Well, if China gets involved, you're not going to have rice. I mean, seriously, that side of the world does most of the rice. So what we have on the shelves and in warehouses, which we probably have a lot of, that's what's there. And once that goes away, it's going to be harder to have that shipping going back and forth. Rice is just going to get expensive. One of our staples is going to be very expensive. So get yourself a 20-pound bag of rice. It's about to go up. Start thinking about what you can spend money on. What is going to get you through the next Great Depression? We looked at wars. We look at our last depression, and we were coming out of a war. Things were tough. Who did well? And it was those people that honed their skills. It was those people that made good choices. And it was the people that said, yes, the world sucks. This is bad. How are we going to make this good? Do we spend our money on this? Do we buy gold? Do we buy copper? What do we do? And ultimately, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it seems to me that the people that were the most successful were the people that said, hey, let's come together and let's build something that's going to be sustainable. And you contribute. So that's what we're doing. We are trying to build something wonderful for our kids and to make sure that there's something to pass on. It's so hard to do, to pass on wealth. And now when we're watching our currency, it's going to go nuts. The ruble dropped by 30% because of sanctions, which means it just means there's going to be this domino effect of all kinds of weird things. And it's just going to escalate. And the world currency is going to get a little less stable. So if you're rich and you can sit back and watch it and you're debt free, you can sit back and watch it, you're going to be okay. If you're not and you made some really poor choices, things are going to be really hard for you. And it's really hard when I look back on 2 years of videos where I've been saying, hey guys, it's time. There's some things coming around the corner. And being right over and over and over and over again. And I don't say that I'm right. I'm just saying that if you take all the information that's out there and you compile it together, usually you can come pretty close to the truth. But you have to accept that there is a truth. And I think that's what we have to talk to our kids about, and making sure that they understand the difference between truth and reality. And not only reality, but this reality that we're in and this new reality that they're going to be in. This virtual reality. There will always be truth, but there will always be different perceptions of the truth. In this new virtual reality, we are giving people the power of God. If you live in that space. So make sure you don't live in that space and you spend more time living here. Because soon we are going to be seeing people that are so desperate that they are going to do some really crazy things. And hopefully we see a lot of people standing up and saying, we're not going to sit down and allow things to collapse. We are going to take charge of our lives. We are going to take charge of our families. And we are going to do our best to love through these hard times, in these uncertain times. We're going to love. Regardless of what happens there, we must take care of our own four walls. So be ready for nothing else but to talk to your spouse about where the best use for your money is today. Because if it loses all value tomorrow, what you buy with it today may still retain some value, or it may not. Are you going to buy some fish, or are you going to buy a fishing pole? Until next time, work hard, be kind, and have fun.